Well, everyone, they always ask you when you're about to start your own business, they always say, well, who are you attracting? So, who is that clientele that you want to attract? So, of course, for me, now that I'm speaking on the term of being a tutor mentor, now I have to stop and say, all right, well, who are the people that want to be tutors? Who are those people that want to make a transition and really just be a part of a student's life? But then I was thinking like, okay, well, I can talk to people that are currently tutoring and maybe they just want to do some advancement in their business. Or I can speak to educators who are frustrated and they want to make those changes in their lives and but they still love the whole idea and the whole process of educating children for they can go from one extreme to the next. But then I was thinking, and especially after my live on Monday, there was a person that came up to me and said, hey, Audrey, I'm not a tutor, but I really enjoyed what you were saying because that really spoke to me. And he wasn't a tutor. He had no interest in tutoring whatsoever. So it seems like a lot of the stuff that I'm saying can actually go to different forms of businesses or maybe even different forms of personalities and that needs to shine in this crazy society. So all of a sudden, I was thinking, you know what? A lot of this could go for people that are educators, that are tutors, that are parents, as well as people that are in real estate agents that always want to make the transition to tutoring. Or maybe even I have a lawyer. A person that was a lawyer, legit lawyer, wanted to leave so she can become a tutor and help other people with their whole process of passing the bar. So it seems like everything doesn't have to be linear or all in the same box. Sometimes thinking outside the box is pretty amazing. And that's why I'm here to tell you and to show you what I did to make that transition. And you can take this information and apply it to tutoring, apply it to your life, apply it to anything. So no matter what, go ahead, sit back, relax, listen to me hammer on for like the next hour, probably half an hour because I had a nice, crazy, busy day. But if you do have questions, please do not hesitate whatsoever to pop in a comment. Or if you want to share the live, you can share the live. If you want to like put a thumbs up, if you want to double tap, you can do all of it. But I'm just going to share my truth, my reasoning of how I started, as well as what keeps me motivated, what keeps me going. Because it's not easy to sit here and you see people on the screen coming up and you see people that just come in and leave, or you know that people are listening but they don't want to make any comments. That's fine. But it's just me, my phone, my computer, and that's it. There's no one else in this room. There's a nice, beautiful, snowy day outside in Baltimore right now. And I know there's a lot of parents that are either in and their kids are running around raiding the refrigerator again for the third time that wants to listen and kind of wants to see. So, this is the reason why you should stay. So you should stay because I'm going to share with you my steps, how I grew up, not that far back, but how I transferred myself from a classroom teacher, slowly burning out, crying every blessed day, into this tutoring person that's doing like basically students from all over. Not only in the United States, but also Nairobi, Kenya, and Cairo, Egypt, and like even far places that I've never been, like Alaska. I know that's part of the US, but Alaska. Like I'm starting to grow there. And I actually have a session with a young man later on today. So, how do I go from no one not knowing me whatsoever to people are starting to pass the word on? Even other tutors are like, hey, Audrey, I like Audrey, I trust her, and I really think that this kid will be a good fit. And that's how it kind of grows a little bit. How did I get from point A to point B? And it took not a couple of days, it took months, it took years. So if you're thinking that, hey, I just want to get a quick fix, that's fine. You can go somewhere else because I'm going to tell you the truth. If you really want to thrive yourself in any kind of business, it's going to take time for it to turn over. Look at our government. Hello. It's going to take a lot of time. There's damage of the previous presidents that everyone has to try to fix before they can get remotely close to the problem. Same thing in education. There is like lots of years of maybe teachers and maybe parents or siblings telling you that you can't do math, you're too dumb. But then all of a sudden, someone says something and it brightens you up, and now you get it. Next thing you know, you're a math teacher. Hello, that's a snapshot of my life. So, if you really want to learn some tips, maybe hear an inspirational person talking about it, stay. If you just want something like really quick, dirty, oh, how can I get rich and $1 million by next week? Yeah, good luck. Just go ahead, keep scrolling. All right. So now that we have done that, and hopefully got that cleared up, let me tell you who I am. Well, my name is Audrey Barbara Codner. Yes, ABC is my initials. Crazy. And I'm originally from Philadelphia. Go Eagles. Sorry, I probably lost 60 million people, or probably gained 1 million. Um, And the reason why I'm on here is because I was a classroom teacher. I was in the classroom for 18, but I had some additional years as an instructional assistant at a local high school in Maryland. And I learned a little bit about education just through the raw and the thick of it. I think when I was growing up, I always said I wanted to be a teacher, but I just didn't know how to get the niche and everything set. But after I graduated from college, I have a degree in psychology. Yeah, see how much I'm doing with that? Ah, but it's on the wall. And I just feel like after years of playing basketball and years of just running around and trying to figure out who I am, I had an opportunity from a friend of mine. He was working at a local school and he says, you know what? They're looking for a basketball coach, but in order for you to be a basketball coach, you have to be a member of the staff. So went for the interview, became a member of the staff, going through special education. So I was one of those teachers that a lot of your kids are probably saying, I don't want this teacher on me. Constantly say, write this down, write this down. You see how that's done? Write that down. Okay. I was that second teacher to help a lot of kids with special education and just really trying to even the playing field for the kids. And I did that for a few years. But going to classroom and classroom, I get to see what worked and what didn't work for high school students. High school students do not want to be treated like little babies, even though they love stickers, but they do not want to be treated like babies. They want to be treated close to being equal. They want to feel like they have a place that they can voice themselves, they can advocate for themselves as well. So keep that in mind because that is the heart of what drives my tutoring business. You have a voice, they're going to be listening, this is going to be the driving force. All right. So after all that, really saw some teachers who really cared. And there was a lot of teachers, especially this one particular who was a retire rehire. And he literally will walk into the room, take out his newspaper, put his feet up on the desk, and that was the class. He didn't even teach the class. There might have been some stuff on the board, but that's all he did. And it was perfectly fine. This man came in each and every day the same exact way. And I know some parents have a notion that this is what they see a lot of teachers doing, but there isn't like that. That was one of the small 1% that needed to just get out of education. But when I saw that, all of a sudden I said, are you going to teach today? And he's like, no. So I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull out kids that want to learn, take them into a conference room, and then I started teaching them. The first subject matter that I did was math, obviously, and I did using slope. I taught the kids how to find slope. When they were given 2 points, that's what I did. That's when my education bug bit me. Then after I brought those kids in, I gave them some problems to do. I said, all right, anyone else want to leave? And a couple other kids, I grabbed them. They went to the conference room. Some of them were a little giddy. And right away I said, look, this is not fun. Because if so, you can go right back into that classroom and let that man treat you the way he wants to treat you. Right away, silence. I went right into my lesson. Then all of a sudden at the end of the day, the then department chair just said, hey, I heard that you are pulling kids out. And I said, yeah, because the teacher's not doing anything. The teacher was still there, didn't change a beat. I kept doing what I need to do. And then all of a sudden, one day, the principal pulls me in and reprimands me for doing that, for teaching the students. I went home that day and I didn't say anything to anyone. This is the first time I'm sharing this. Hey, aren't you blessed? So then I went home that day and I said, you know what? I want to learn how to be a teacher. I wasn't quite sure if math was my calling until we had a switch of a department chair, and then I talked and spoke with her, and then she said, "You know what, Audrey, you should pursue it. You should definitely go on and do that." So I said, "All right, I'm going to do it." So then I went, feeling that. Then I went to a local community college, and right from there, I was looking at some of the classes, looking at some of the courses. This is when they used to have the course booklets that was like yay big. Now everything's online. And I went through, and then one day someone just told me to talk to the math department chair to see if math really is my thing. So I went and I spoke with her, and she was just like, I was telling her the whole situation, and she's like, okay, okay, okay. And then she said to me, I'm going to stop you and I'm going to tell you the truth. And I said, okay, let me back up. And she says, you're an African American woman that wants to teach math. You are a golden ticket. Now, I know I may not look like it, but I am 52 years old. Okay. Creaky. But back then, most of the teachers were white males. There wasn't at many African American females teaching math or science. A lot of them were majority white older males. So for me at that point in time, I wanted to be a math teacher was just like transformative. And she was right. I was like a golden ticket. So it's just like, no, like you can actually be that person where the kids can actually see a representation of themselves on the staff and be able to have that progression. So with that being said, I was like, you know what? I need to get this position quickly. So as my friend Lynette will say, I always 10x things. So what I did was I needed to take 12 courses in order for me to get all the educational courses back because I have my psychology degree, but I need to take 12 courses. So I did those 12 courses in 1 year while holding a full-time job. It was not easy. So even with the special education, the reading requirements that we had to do, the some of the math requirements that we had to do, and then on top of that, I had to take the praxis. Yes, 12 courses is crazy. And then they weren't all in the same campus. There was 3 campuses at this local community colleges. At one point, I was taking 3 courses at all 3 campuses, and they weren't like right down the street. To be young is amazing, and you can definitely get things done. At the same time, still coaching, at the same time, still teaching and educating. I had to do what I had to do, right? So after I finished my coursework, the main frame was the praxis. And I know you're probably like, well, where's the tutoring? You got to listen to the story. Okay. This is the driving force. So now I had to pass the praxis. And this is when the praxis was separated into 2 things. One was for middle schoolers, and the other one is for the advanced, like from 7th through a 12th or 7th through adults, something like that. So I took that praxis 11 times. 11 times trying to take the praxis, taking courses, going to do the things at the community colleges, really trying to push myself out there. There was times I was 3 points away. Then one time I was 20 points away. Then the next time I was 5 points away. Then one time I was like 4 points away. Then one time I remember I was 1 point away. And this is where that determination and that drive comes from. I could have stopped because this wasn't cheap. At the time, it was like $250 a pop. It wasn't cheap, but I had to be that teacher that those kids needed. So what did I do? I kept going, I kept going, I kept going. Then all of a sudden, the principal has a brilliant idea. Well, since you're pulling the kids and you're teaching them, why don't I give you a teaching position? And I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to teach and then at the same time be a special educator. At the same time. So when am I going to have time to do my planning? And when am I going to have time to help the kids in the classroom as a special educator and then as a coach and then helping out with this event, this thing, that thing? When am I going to do all that? But then this is the problem. This is the part that a lot of people don't understand. I had to advocate for myself because I knew I wasn't going to get more money. They weren't going to pay me. They were going to keep me at the same basic salary that I was barely doing anything for. I was barely being able to pay my rent and to pay all the bills. Thank God I had a roommate at the time, but that was it. So I had to say no. And then my teacher friend, she was like, Audrey, I'm going to this other place. They're looking for a math person. And then I had an interview. And this is when I was at Arundel. And I know when I walked into that interview, most people will have an interview for what, 20, maybe 30 minutes, if you want to chit chat a little bit. We sat and talked for 2.5 hours. And I'm like, the job. But I know when I went to that school originally, there was basically a lot, and I mean a lot, of non factors of me there. I was the only Black female teacher on staff when I first started there. And you would say, Audrey, were you nervous? I wasn't. I was more nervous of the fact that, am I really going to be able to provide for those students? But I know my first day there, as I'm walking the hallways and the kids are walking, going from point A to point B, all I kept hearing is the N word. I kept hearing, oh, I think she's the T word, trans. I think that there were so many things being said because, like, look, I know how to lift. I mean, my shoulders can't even fully get into the screen for TikTok. And I love to lift and I love to work out. I was a former athlete. Like, that's what I did. I just worked myself. But a lot of people not knowing me, they just saw the outside and they make all these assumptions and they're talking about all badly about me. And once in a while, I would hear something from some of the educators and not that much support from my department chair at the person at the time. Not Della. There was someone before Della. Okay. And it was hard. And I didn't have a classroom because they were still doing renovations and I was out in the trailers. So I was really by myself. One thing that I wasn't taught was how to do a lesson plan. So I had to figure a lot of stuff out myself. And I didn't have anyone else that said, "Hey, come, let me help you." And so eventually that happened because some people felt bad, but I had to learn to advocate for myself. And then before I knew it, there was another person that came, my friend Katara. And then afterwards, Kim came, and then Denise came, and then there was more of us. And then the year we had the big wave of Filipino educators that came in Maryland. There were all throughout it was like at 1 year, it just like it opened up. Everyone just had it. So I had my Sarah Faye was one of my people, and she's still at Arundel. And I just had to work. So because I still wasn't certified yet, because you had that small window of time to pass that bloody praxis, and I did 11 times. So when finally got it, I mean, when I said I finally got it, I just squeaked by 2 points. And the funny part is, I took the test in April. I was sick as a dog, and I got to the point and I said, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. I went home and registered for the next one like I normally do. And then all of a sudden, I got it refunded back into my account. And I'm like, what? Wait, where did this money come from? The next day, I get a letter that said, congratulations, you have passed the praxis. And because of that determination and that drive, I put that in my tutoring business. I put that in when I was in the classroom. I valued my kids as well as you should value your kids. You should value your audience. So the way that I'm speaking like this, there are going to be realtors that want to be tutors. There's going to be lawyers that one day might want to be a tutor. There might be physicists that want to be a tutor. There might be, no one knows how people get into tutoring. It doesn't have to be just educators. And especially here in the States, you don't have to be certified in order to be a tutor, but it would be helpful because then you have a good idea of what the next step is instead of you just worrying about how to break stuff down for the kids right here, right now. So here's the whole gist of it. That's the education. Let me fast forward. Now we're looking at 22. I'm including those years of being an instructional assistant. Now I'm in year 22 and things are changing. Kids don't really have the drive as they do. Parents are not as involved as they used to. And then plus, I've been to so many different schools. I've been to schools. I used to work for the state. I was an educator at our local, we call it baby bookings, but our juvenile justice system. I was downtown on Gay Street for 13 months. And then all of a sudden, I started feeling like every time I heard keys, I get nervous. And I was like, why am I getting nervous? Because when there is something about to pop off, all of a sudden you hear the keys jingling because that's where the officers keep their keys on the side. And the faster the keys are jingling, the faster they have to run to the situation. And then all of a sudden I developed that. So with that, that's where I actually learned how to truly teach because everything's a weapon. This is a weapon. This is a weapon. And we sure as hell don't want to talk about no pencil sharpeners like this. This is a weapon. And I can tell you stories about something like this, but it did not happen in my classroom because I did not bring these in. Okay? But you learn how to actually teach, how to educate. And then when I learned later on that I had public enemy number one in my classroom and he was passing out papers, I don't know how to react. So these are the things that when I'm in those situations, be it the classroom, be it at the detention center, be it in my tutoring service, I treat everyone with respect. And that's all people want. They want to feel respected. They want to get the results that they want to reach for. And if you can go beyond that, you will be considered a golden child. You will be that golden ticket. So when it comes to who are you speaking, who is your audience? I know I specialize in algebra 1 and 2. I do geometry. I do a little trig. Okay, go into pre-calculus, but now there's an AP pre-calculus, so I'm learning a little bit with that, and I'm trying to grow more with that. But then when it comes down to the tutoring, that's my niche. But anyone that's willing to work and willing to learn and willing to progress, I am willing to tutor you. Now, here's the difference between tutoring and teaching. I'm not developing lesson plans. I'm not developing a program, 12-step program that you got to do. I'm helping you with your current situation. I'm seeing where the lapses are, and I'm helping you to develop confidence and understanding why those lapses are happening. And I walk you through it step by step. You'll be amazed on how much you can get covered in 1 hour. But it is your personality. It is who you are. It is your determination and your drive. That's what keeps things going. So the secret is what keeps me going is what's being reflected in my face right now. It's me. I have to keep things going. So if that means there's going to be some nights it's going to be a little rough, a little late. Last night wasn't late. I made sure I took my butt to bed early, but the night before was late because I'm trying to develop things. I'm doing courses. Like I finally finished my courses to help people that are taking their GED, their acuplacer, if they're going to the military, the ASVAT, or if they just need help with just remediation of algebra. I have courses, 4 courses ready to go. And then I'm working on my website for You Can Tutor so I can develop that so I can help people that want to be a tutor and not make it into a big program. I don't want to make it into a program. I want to make it more personal. I want people that want hand holding. I want people that want to progress and to grow. Firefly. I want people that want to take what they already have and develop a personalized business plan that's going to work for them. I don't want you to be a mini version of me. You're like, well, you're successful. You're doing this. You got all your clients and stuff. Yeah, that part I can help you with. But I don't want you to be like, I want you to say everything I say verbatim. No, you have to show, oh, thank you. You have to show who you personally are. You have to show your greatness in order for it to grow for you. Because every time you do some kind of program, there's always a piece missing. And the piece that's missing is how are you going to take this information and attract your clientele? That's the part that's missing. And that's the part that no one can teach you. So that's why you need like a mentor to kind of guide you so we can have conversations. We could develop a time and space and we could sit down and brainstorm and what will be a great next step. Not 5 steps, just one at a time. And then you have someone there like, hey, Audrey, like I did a new flyer. Can you take a look at it? Or, hey, Audrey, I did a website. Can you take a look at it? And you're going to give somebody that's going to give you a real answer. Like, hey, I think the flyer is great. Or, you know what? Let's try again. You know what? Because all of this, here's your paper. All of this is about you just as much as about the parent or the kid. Let's reverse that. So you need someone that's going to be real. You need someone that's going to actually talk you through step by step. So if this sounds like something that maybe you or maybe you heard a friend of yours that's thinking about doing it, go ahead, share the live. Or you can go to my YouTube channel, which is You Can Tutor. I'm really trying to keep it for people that are serious about tutoring that needs some niche, especially for math education, because that's what I do, right? Now, if you're into English and you do high school, I'm not the one. I'm going to be truthful. This is not me. If you want the constant motivation, please keep coming every day, 10, well, every other day, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll be here to talk you through. Not a problem. But if you want someone else that's in depth, just go ahead and message me, and I will give you a list of people that you can definitely reach out to because that's the whole thing. I don't see this as a competition. I see this as my friend Mike would say, as a collaboration. We all are collaborators. That's how we reach, that's how we grow. And the same thing happens in the business world. The same thing happens in real estate. The same thing happens in whatever business that you want to go into. You have to learn to develop the people that's not going to be yes people. I can't stand yes people. I don't need any more bruises on my butt, okay? We're done with that. I just want people that want to grow, that want to say, you know what, I love to teach, But all this foolishness that's going on in the classroom, I can't. I just can't. I can't. And that's what drove me out. I needed to keep my sanity. If I stayed in the classroom, I wouldn't be here. I'm going to tell you the truth. I got tired of the foolishness, all the mind games. I was done with it. So done. Well, the kids, you got to do it for the children. Am I doing it for the children? Or am I doing it so you guys can get $5,000 to $6,000 per kid? Like, cut the garbage. But at the same time, our kids are still struggling. We got kids that are graduating high school that can't read, that can't write, and they need assistance. But yet we're so worried about what they're going to look like for prom. Like, oh, I'm all set for prom. Yeah, but you got to graduate. Are you on track to graduate? Even when you graduate high school, what are you doing? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to get into the workforce? Are you going to do something that's going to be beneficial to you? What is it? And I know there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of pressures. And these are the things to think about as a tutor. You're not just coming in helping them with their math homework. There's so much more to it. You're also helping them organize themselves. You're also helping them with the advancement of thinking outside the box. But these kids got to know that they're inside of a box in order to do that. So, in order for us to be good, solid tutors, we have to get to know not only who is our ideal client, but we got to get to know ourselves and we have to get to know where these kids are coming from. Where are they coming from? How are their parents feeling, especially for math? How do your parents feel about algebra? Oh, I hate it. Well, now I got to do a conversion. Now I got to convert with these kids as they want to progress. What is your opinion on the new math? I feel like I can't help with it because I only know the math I knew. Here's my thing. Math is math. Everyone's trying to make it so difficult for no reason. I'll get kids and they say, well, that's not how my teacher does it. And I'm like, I get it. But do you understand this way or that way? And they're like, well, I have to do it this way. But if the teacher cannot give me something, sorry, phone call. So my whole thing is I know this whole thing called new math, it's ridiculous. They're using a lot of quick tip things, but it doesn't stick when they get older. Because when they get into high school, you got high school teachers that know the old way. It's only with the young kids that keep testing all these different ways. And I mean, here's the thing. People are like, okay, they come to school, they teach them at school, they go home with the homework, and all of a sudden, you as a parent supposed to know exactly what's going on. You don't. You weren't in that class. You have no idea how it's broken down. So now you're saying, okay, well, where's the notes? And like, hey, honey, where's your notes? And then you're taking these notes and you're like, what is this? What's happening? I don't know. And it seems like we rely on the parent. They're like, yeah, parents, you got to do this. How? How are we supposed to rely on the parent if the parent doesn't know and understand the process? They're going to show it the way that they know it. And that's what's going to happen. So when it comes down, like Firefly, trust me, you know me. If you ever see something and you want me to break it down to you, I will definitely break it down to you. Just DM me and then we'll figure out a way to contact each other. And then you can just take a picture of it and show it to me. And then I'll be like, okay, this is what they're trying to do. And it just seems like we're always trying to invent something. And trust me, this new math is really not new. They're just putting more of an advanced spin on it, but they're not understanding that our kids are not getting the foundation. Hi, we had something called a pandemic, and we're still trying to get away from it. We're still trying to build from it. I have students that still don't know their multiplication tables. That was the main premise, if I may, shameless plug. That's the main premise why I created my math notebook. Within my math notebook, I have a factor sheet because the kids don't know how to read a times table. On the back of the composition books, they don't know how to read a times table. So what I did was I created a factor sheet so they have all the factors from 1 to 200. So if they're like, what's supposed to give me 27? Now they can just simply go to 27 on my factor sheet and then they can see all the factors of it. So if they're trying to break down radicals, they can look for the perfect prime combination. That's Can you buy those? You can buy the book. It's definitely on Amazon. So if you look under Audrey Codner or the Ultimate Math Notebook, this will pop up. Or if anything, just go to my website, which is in my bio. If you just click on that website and you'll see links to it. Because trust me, they do not know how to do that. And in addition to that, you'll have like words for word problems, the most used operation words that's there, how the order of operations, all these reminders on there. But at the same time, which I'll be back at 1 o'clock today, because I decided I'm going to do 2 sessions. So at 1 o'clock today, I'm actually going to do math work in my math notebook. So you can see how exactly it's going to be done. So I'll be on at 1 o'clock today as well as 8:30 this evening. Okay. So how do I do graphing? I know I feel like I'm doing this. How do I do graphing? So this is the main reason why I decided to do and design my own math notebook because there isn't another math notebook out there. Everyone's always telling, oh, give them Cornell sheets. But then guess what happens? When they put the stuff in the binders, then all of a sudden they lose the papers and then they lose half of their notes. Or some schools, especially inner city schools, they don't want the kids to take anything home because, oh, you're a kid that's going to school. Here comes a gang member. Fuck, blank all that education. Come with us. Next thing you know, homeboy's getting jumped. So they said, don't take your notes home. Yes, that is a thing. Don't take your notes home. So the only thing when you have kids that you're saying don't take your notes home, this is one thing that you can do. You have your cell phone. Go to your notes and take pictures of your notes. And one of my students did that, and then this is what his notes look like. And I was like, okay, what's this say? And he's like, I don't know. I just wrote down what the teacher wrote on the board. And then I was like, oh, baby, we need to do something better. We need to do something better. So that's what inspired me to do this math notebook. But not only am I tutoring, I'm also helping kids with their organization. I'm also helping parents, especially parents that have special needs kids. Just because they're labeled the same disability does not mean they have the same does not mean that they have the same abilities. So, with that in mind, I always say, you know what? Have your child, especially if they're in the private or parochial schools. There's not that much special ed support. There's something there. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I appreciate that because it's something that is needed. And regardless of how things are changing with the Department of Education, it's not like our kids are just going to flog off, right? It's more so we have to think of ways and take more responsibility of our learning. So just taking your kids and pulling them out. So here comes my little random rant. Um, so take out your kids out of school in order for them to like do homeschooling. Like homeschooling is a different breed now. Like people used to homeschool and you sit down, you had your curriculum, then you try to do the application when you're going outside, you're making travels, you're building up curriculum. That's fine. But now there's a lot of people that are doing homeschooling because they're pissed off. Okay, so now your child is home. And then all of a sudden, weeks later, you're thinking your kid is doing the curriculum, and you find out that they haven't been doing any of the curriculum because you haven't been keeping tabs. Because guess what? When you pull your kids out of school, you have to keep tabs. You have to do that. So that's where it comes with the struggle. There are some parents that aren't doing that, but there are a lot of parents that are doing it and they're doing it well. Like my friend Ann. She's doing it, you know? So there is a responsibility. But then when you need that second person to kind of help break things down, because we all know parents, like my friend Firefly, she was just like, I don't understand this new math tutor. And I know a lot of you are like, well, I don't want to spend money for a tutor, but you spend money for a latte every day this week. Add that up. That is going to be more than the cost of a tutor. So sometimes we all have to make those sacrifices. And I know I come off very aggressive because I believe so much in a good education that no matter what happens, because I know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, I can do mental math. I can make decisions. Even though I'm a Libra, I like to even everything out, but I have to make a decision. So that means I have to learn how to listen. I have to learn how to process. That is mathematics as well. It's not just finding X and taking the derivative of that. I don't know where you're going to go in life. And this is why I tell all my students, I don't know where you're going to go in life, but here's one thing. I'm going to make sure that you can say, I've seen this before, and you can use some logic to get yourself out of it. So that means I'm going to teach you as much math as I can possible. So that's why I teach math. That's why I tutor. That's why I push. And this is why I feel that you should listen. And if you're thinking about tutoring, and you're thinking about doing that, I would rather listen to someone that's going to preach heart, transparency, and yes, you can do it, than you can make $1 million. And the only way you can make $1 million is you just get 1,000 people to give you $1,000, and boom, there's your mill. I kind of like to have that integrity road. Maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong, but that's the route that I'm going. Okay. Audrey has heart, and she's definitely an amazing person to go to for help. Thank you. That does me solid because I don't know how much longer I have on this life. Only God Himself can tell me when it's time to stop. But all I know is when I am dead and gone, I just want you to know that when you say my name, you should have a smile on your face. You should say she was extremely helpful. That tells me I did my purpose. That's why I'm here. So, how can we progress? How can we go to the next step? So you got a person that if you do need a tutor, maybe you don't need someone at the high school level, but you might need someone younger. Guess what? I know tons of high school and elementary and middle school and pre-K reading tutors, writing tutors, math tutors, science, whatever you need. You have a person that now you can connect with because of the person that I am and how I love to talk to people. Hence, I had 2 phone calls as I was doing this live, and I have to get going soon because I have to go to Alaska, technically, to tutor. But if you need some assistance, you have somebody now. So there's no excuse like, I don't know where to find a tutor. Oh, well, let me go to my school's district or let me go to my child's school to see if there's a tutor list. And then all of a sudden you sit there like there isn't a tutor list. Like, how do we? They're not going to keep track of that. If you need a tutor, you got to take it on your own. So now you got a person that you can go to. So if you want to teach your child that's in like pre-K or K or kindergarten that needs assistance with their math and their counting, and you want them to really solidify the counting, I have my friend Lynette. She's a math tutor and she tutors with the abacus. And you're probably saying, what the hell is an abacus? If you go to your text message and you type in the word math, you're going to see like a little box with some red beads. That's an abacus. How we used to count using the abacus. So if you want to, definitely take a look at her stuff. If by chance you need some tutoring or you need some math structure for the GED, for ACT, SAT, just really building up your math skill set, I have courses. But if you need something live, I have my other friend that does math tutoring, and she's like, well, all of a sudden I got a brain freeze of like what her name was. What is your name? Impact Math. There we go. Impact Math 19. She comes on religiously Monday through Saturday, 1 p.m. Central Time, which is like 2 p.m. my time. Unfortunately, I'm tutoring. But if you need some assistance, she's there for an hour. How many people do you know of that's willing to give this information? Everybody will be like hoarding in. Why are you telling everybody what everyone else has? Or do you tell about what you do? Because that's who I am. I like to connect people. I like to be a motivator. Yes, I can do the math. Eventually, the tutoring, I'm probably going to shift from tutoring to more of mentorship because there's going to need to be more people that's similar to me, but they can do more stuff. You deserve to have the best for your child. And if that sounds like you and you feel like, hey, Audrey, I really want to learn how to do this tutoring thing, and I think I'm going to need someone to kind of walk me through it, like literally hold my hand through it and take me along, then definitely DM me. Okay, send me a message. I already have a couple of people because I'm working on a course, but also why wait? Because this is the perfect time. Right now, there are some parents that have their kids, they're going to look at your notebooks and you're going to be, doesn't make sense. Have your child break down the concepts to you. If your child can't explain it, your child doesn't know it. I'm sorry. If your child can't explain it, your child doesn't know it because they know it enough to pass a test. But when it comes to that application piece, that's going to be missing. And you know where it's going to show up? When they get to high school. So let's eliminate that. Let's develop and grow some independent learners. So, what keeps me going is me, is the motivation, is the likes that I'm getting, is the conversations I'm having with current tutors. If your child has dyslexia, I just spoke to a tutor this morning who is amazing at that. I have a few tutor friends that are amazing with dyslexia. I have one, Jess Arce, ARCE. She does all three. She had 5 kids. They're all dyslexic, and she had to be self-taught how to break down concepts for her child. So if you have a child that has dyslexia, you have Jess Archer. I have my friend Kathy Cozano. I have Darcy. Ooh, what is Darcy's last name? Darci. She's in Colorado. Oh, Darcy, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna figure out your name and I'll put it somewhere. But these are people that are doing it. They're in it. They had kids that went through it. They had to be self-taught. All you people in the West Coast, I know for a fact you do not have special needs services. So you need to contact people in the East Coast to figure out how to get this done. So why not we do it? What? Because it takes some time away from watching Housewives for the 50th time? Is it because it's taking time away from, oh, how do they do this for 90 Day Fiance? Step away from the TV. Do something to help develop your child. And break, and I get that. But guess what? Your child's not getting the full effect of education. All right. So, because I have to get myself ready for my tutoring session. But again, if you need me, you can either, I'm going to see, it's kind of hard for me. Hold on. See if I can flip this around. Oops. See, I'm like touching things on TikTok, but I know on my other thing is like ACG Math Tutoring. The link is in my bio. I am not ashamed to say that. Good, and I'll be past that. All right. So the link is in my bio if you do is for the links to all my books. You can go there. Not only do I have a notebook for high schoolers, seventh grade to adults, I have one for fourth through sixth grade. It's a little smaller inside. If we take a look inside of it, you have same concepts with the formulas and the steps, but I use the blocks because it helps them to keep things in line. Okay. A lot of these kids do not know how to keep things in line. I was doing like a small example of one last night. I know it's kind of hard to see because I'm putting everything in everyone's face. All right, so it's backwards on TikTok, but it's not backwards everywhere else. So it helps the kids to keep their numbers in line, especially when it comes to those values, those number values. I still have on the very back those resource pages. So in the very back, I have the resource pages. They also get, that was cute. They also get the factor forms from 1 to 200. They also kind of have a little bit of information about fractions, what is a fraction, the definition of a fraction, how to represent it, which you can use activities for the circles. We also from decimal to fractions, fractions to decimals, and percentages, the rules of that. Okay. Also looking at fractions operation, how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, as well as decimal operations. And then let's not forget long division. Okay. A lot of our kids don't know how to break down long division because ever since they have, you should see my setup right now. Woo, this is crazy. Papers everywhere. Ever since they introduced this into the classroom, multiplication and division died. So, but here's the thing, this long division, this process is going to be important because they're going to need it for dividing polynomials. So with math, it always spirals back. So if you skip it in elementary, it's going to bite you in the butt when you get into high school, especially when you go to algebra 2. Every kid has to take algebra 2. It's a high school requirement. So there's no escaping it. Okay. Also your area and perimeter, volume, surface area, all the formulas are right here. Even the most used at that grade level is also written at the bottom. Then on top of it, the word problems, like I said, what words are associated with some of the operations, that's listed here, as well as writing and solving the equation. What are the step-by-steps? How do I apply this to this? Okay. And then of course we have our lovely brain breaks. So our mazes, our Sudoku, word find. What I did with the younger ones, hey, what's your favorite playlist? Okay, this I always like to use with like group sessions. Sometimes during the holidays, I'm like, what's your favorite song? So then when you have this book, it's almost like a little bit of nostalgia. When you open the book later on, you're like, oh wow, I can't remember. I remember that song. That was my song back in the day. And then you can reflect on it, right? So all of that is here. Plus, it does come with a little answer key flash. I don't want you to take the answers, but it does come with an answer key, so it kind of helps you out. All right. So these are the things. And I know that you're like probably saying, hey, Audrey, like I want to learn how to tutor. Fine. You can. You can tutor. You can use the funds for tutoring to go towards wherever your passion project. You can basically be a part of someone's life. That's why I keep tutoring, because I love the fact that these parents entrust me to be a spark in their child's life. There are kids that will come to me crying, I'm stupid, I will never do anything, this is too hard, to by the end of the school year, because it takes time for them to be teaching their classmates, to be feeling confident, their grades are reflecting it, not because they were doing gimme work, is because that they worked at it. Their grades on their tests are improving. Their confidence is blooming. I want you to be an independent learner. I don't want you to have to keep me around forever and ever and ever. but knowing that I'm a part of someone's life is huge. So as a closer, um, here's a quick story. Recently got a phone call from one of my former students. She graduated 2 years ago. She's having trouble with one of her classes in college, and they were like, wait, we know somebody. Remember Miss Audrey? Give her a call, see if she's still tutoring. I'm still top of mind ish for 2 years later. That's what you want to be. You want to provide a service to the point that you are a part of that. In your link tree, cool. Hold on. In your link tree, can you out the Amazon link for the physical book? Okay. Yeah. So it's like when you see the Amazon, I think is like available on Amazon. I think you just click on there, but I think I will do that. I will definitely put that up a little bit more. Okay. Definitely. Thank you. And my books are amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, ladies, gentlemen, this will conclude because I don't want the downloaded version. Okay, I want the real. Okay. All right. If anything, just go. Yeah, let's go directly to Amazon. I think it should be like on the top right, but I will definitely take a look at it again and I'll message you just to clarify. If anything, just go straight to Amazon, type in Audrey Codner, and you'll look all my lists. So Audrey, CODNER. All right, so I do have to get going. But if there's any questions whatsoever, please do not hesitate to contact me. Audrey, I need a tutor for fourth grade math. Audrey, I need a tutor for reading. Audrey, I need a tutor for this. Whatever it is, please just reach out. So share this with your link, share my profile with people and say, she will help you find a tutor. If you want to do that, you can do that. All right. Definitely do all this stuff because I want to educate our kids. Don't let everything right now with the society throw you off. We still have to educate our children. All right. We still have to. So if you need some assistance with that, just go ahead and send me a message. Audrey, I need help with that. All right? Okay. All right. Got to get going. Love you guys. Take care.